Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we're hooking up the utilities in the ditch. Pup. We have a decent day here today now that the snow flurries and the wind have died down. Oh, the geyser. Gorgeous, great timing. Yesterday in last video, we got the wire ran from the barn all the way down here to the junction point. I want to get the panel box mounted in the barn so I can have exactly as much wire as I need to wire that up, and then I can shift everything down this way so I'm not wasting any. So once I get that panel box up here and we get the wire shifted into position, I'm going to be making a cut right there so we have a junction to run the wire the rest of the way down the vegetable garden. And that's also going to be split going into the house where we're actually going to be getting our power from. Hopefully we have enough wire left on the spool. Now we got some more rain and the trench actually collapsed in again, so that's going to be a little bit difficult getting this area cleaned up to get the wire in there. We're going to have to try and pull this tarp out of there and dig out enough dirt to get that wire down to 18 inches again. And I just got the fittings that I need to hook up my hydrants today in the mail, so I'm going to be able to get those on. Most of the areas are ready to be plumbed. This one actually has the pipe in the bucket. It should be the easiest one to get together, but the other three areas are going to need some hand digging out so I can get access into the bucket again. Pup. I just got the vegetable garden trench backfilled to the 18-inch mark so we can lay the wire in there. So I'll show you that. You can get all caught up and then I'll meet you up at the barn so we can hang this panel. Hey ladies, what's going on? Yeah, pup, we got some massive ruts out here. We used the backhoe to bring the spool of wire out as far as we could, and it ended up making a mess. We could have rolled it a little bit further instead of doing all that, but we were tired. What's going on, Sammy? Hey, ducks, where's Mumbles? I see you, girl. You got some jumbos with you? Good. I have Dabbles and a few ducks separated in the duck pen right now to give Mumbles a break. Oh, and it looks like I gotta fix that fence blind. Pup, gotta get some zip ties on that. I'll be up, ladies. Well, you can see we have the wire ran up here to the barn, but I still have to drill a hole through the block so we can get it inside and get a finalized measurement on it. But you can see this hole is actually collapsing in on itself, and we definitely have to get that water and dirt out of there so I'll be able to plumb up this pipe. Oh, Sammy. Lady's making a bunch of noise in here. Pants, you singing? Good girl. Little Ro, you're singing too? Lovely. I have the new panel box here and a couple tools. Pup, and we got a mess down here too. I was actually collecting eggs last night. I set my basket right here so I could get some feed for everybody else. I hear ya. And one of the chickens ended up jumping on it and knocking all my eggs over. Every single one of them broke. Oh, Sammy. Oh, Thelma. Bobtail. Dot. I hear you, little Ro. You lay me an egg? But we're going to be mounting this new box pretty much where the old box was, maybe a little bit lower. And then I'm going to need to drill a hole through that wall so we can get the wire fed in here and I can get an exact size on it before we cut it on the other end for the junction. I hear ya. You birds. Huh, pup, works to do. Alright guys, it's the next day. Things got a little bit late last night and I had to close the barn, but we're getting back to work here early on the ditch. We got the wire ran into the ditch. It's cutting in place. I just have to splice everything together. We did run this end into the house. Unfortunately, the Ethernet cable just barely made it into the house and the wire didn't quite make it over to the panel. So I have some things I need to figure out in there, but it's going to be a lot easier to do that in the house than outside in the trench. But we're not going to start with splicing the wires here. We're actually going to be going out and digging the new ditch. Last night it went down into the teens, so we have a nice crusty ground right now. It's going to make it a lot easier to dig in. And we even got a fresh layer of ice on the duck pond. Since we got the wires in here, we were able to start backfilling this ditch, and we just did a little section here, so I'll be able to drive through here with the ditch witch and get access to the new ditch I want to do. There's definitely going to be some settling here because I don't think all this dirt's going to fit back into the hole. But I have some perforated drain pipe to use, so we're going to dig that ditch. I'm going to lay as much pipe as I have into that ditch, and then we're going to see how much more I have to get. And after that, oh, the geyser. There she is. Gorgeous. Pop. But after that ditch is done and we have the drain pipe in place, we can go around and start hooking up the hydrants. We still have the holes open here and we do have most of the posts set in place. It's going to be a little bit harder to dig out and get access to the bottom of that bucket though, now that the water's filling up. But that's one of the last things we can do. We can hook up the hydrants and then everything here can get backfilled once I get the wire spliced. And I'm actually just going to be using this ammo box here to splice the cables into. I'm going to silicone the holes shut. I cut openings on both sides there so I can go in and out with the wires. And hopefully that works out. But before that sun comes out and starts warming up the day, we need to get out there and start digging. Pop. Oh, it's flowing. We had some water backed up. We're already filling up the pond. Now, I dug this trench first thing this morning, and after going off and doing a few other things and coming back to it, it was already full of water. I had an area where it was all dammed up here because I had to turn around and connect both trenches. So the upper half completely filled up with water, and whenever I cleared out that dam, it all rushed into the pond here. So now we have an open channel going into the duck pond, and the water's flowing. Pop. Now this is looking good here, but I did run out of perforated 4-inch pipe, so my dad actually just went to the store to pick some up. So once he gets back, I can get it all laid out in this trench going down to the pond. And he's also picking up a T-fitting so I can connect all 3 trenches together here. So I put the pipe into the trench here, going over to where I cut the French drain. What are you doing? Oh, we got crows. Good boy, Pop. Got a couple going over. You tell him, bud. Good boy. But whenever I was digging these trenches, I actually cut into old French drains, so they're dripping water into my trench. So I put these pipes over to that point so they can capture what water they're still dripping. And the one going up to the barn, the same thing. I cut into one a little bit up there, so I'm hoping to capture that water and have it all go down to the duck pond here. I also need to put some insulation in this bucket, and then I can actually close this off. I wanted to use styrofoam peanuts. Styrofoam's not going to rot in the ground. It's actually going to stay there forever. Some roads even, I think the Autobahn has styrofoam underneath of it. But I guess nowadays they make compostable packing peanuts, and I didn't realize that whenever my dad picked up a big bag from Staples. So instead, I'm just going to use some old fiberglass insulation that we have. I'm going to put that into a bag so it doesn't lose its R value getting wet. And I'll stuff that into this bucket and then close it off with a lid, and then I can get this T-fitting set in place, and then everything can get backfilled here. And whenever I backfill these trenches, I'm going to backfill everything to about 4 to 6 inches. I'm going to roll out some caution tape and line that in there before I finish backfilling. And that way, whenever I dig in the future, I'll hit that caution tape well before I hit any wires or water pipe. So I'm going to get that insulation in this bucket, and then we'll be ready to fit up these pipes. And if we have enough time today, I'm going to try and get some hydrants hooked up. Hump up. This has been a process. I did actually expand this project a little bit more than the original plan, but it's turning out to be about 3 weeks instead of 3 days. Thanks, Bert. But I think it's going to be awesome when... Puppy. We're not backfilling this trench yet. Move over. Oi. Out. Come on. I think it's going to be awesome once we get this pipe in here and get it backfilled, and I actually see some active water flowing into the pond. She's full now, but I don't know what it's going to do in the summer. I might actually have a little bit of a trickle coming in on that other side too. Hard to see, it's small. But you can see the ground above the pond here is completely saturated, so it'd be nice to get some drainage in here and get it into the pond so it's not sitting here making puddles where the ducks can come in and make a mess. I prefer to have this all luscious and green. I know this is probably going to be a long video, but I'm trying to get as much as I can done. And it's going to be cold again tonight. We're actually going to be warming up over the next few days here. It's going to be 60 in a few days, but it's actually going to be raining over 1/2 inch, so I'm trying to get this ditch done before we get our next rain. Hump up. You want to play some ramp ball? Good boy. Did you get something in your ear? No, I knew it. Puppy. Alright, I almost got one hydrant hooked up here, pup. I know, but it's cold out here and it's time to close up the barn. That was actually rather difficult trying to get that hooked up. I had to heat up the PEX to get it slipped onto the fitting. And being down in the bucket there, it was really hard to get the crimpers to open up all the way to fit onto the clamp. But I got this one hooked up. I still have to get the drainage stuff inside the bucket there and get a strap onto this post. But we are getting dangerously close to getting something done. And it looks like it's time the ducks want to go to bed. I didn't get the wires spliced yet, but we did get the drainage pipe in the new ditch. Pup, look at that peachy sunset. Pup, but we got the new pipe in the new ditch, and I didn't cut it to fit yet because we don't have the other end hooked up. Once we get the T-fitting hooked up on the other end, I'll be able to cut this end to fit. And it's going to be really interesting to see how much water actually comes out of this pipe throughout the year. But I don't want to backfill this until we get all the ends hooked up, so the process will continue. We do have all the pipes joining together here, and I think if I just put a T, we'll be able to get all the water flowing to the duck pond. I have some of the pipe going up right about to where Echo Pup is in this trench, and then I have it going down maybe a third of the way on this trench. But it's going to be cold tonight. We got to get everything closed up. I did put this strip of insulation on top of the ditch here once we put the wire in, and I think that'll help with a lot of the frost from going all the way down to the water pipe. I do have to try and get the ice and the water out of this so I can get the pipe into the bottom of that bucket where we're going to plumb the fitting. But that's a tomorrow problem, huh, Pup? Let's check on everybody before we close up. Bert and the ladies are already sitting up on their perch. I see you, Snowballs. How you doing, sweet girls? Rufio, you keeping everybody safe in here? Good. Mumbles, darling. Dabble's not bothering you? You guys able to stand next to each other without him picking on you? Good. You go on in, girl. I'll get Dabbles. But alright, that's going to be all for this one. If you want to keep following along with everything here at Whitt Acres, make sure to subscribe down below. Hit that like button before you leave, and you can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching. Good boy.